Imagine looking up at the night sky, and the moon is simply gone. No explosion. No warning. No warning from NASA. Just empty darkness. At first, most people would think it's some kind of eclipse. Others would grab their phones and search the internet. Within minutes, social media would explode with one terrifying question: where did the moon go? But here's the frightening part: the moon isn't just a beautiful object in our sky. It's one of the main reasons Earth has remained stable for billions of years. Without it, our planet would begin changing in ways most people have never imagined. So, what would actually happen if the moon disappeared tonight? Let's find out. The very first thing you'd notice wouldn't be earthquakes, it wouldn't be giant explosions, it would be the sky. The moon reflects sunlight, making nights surprisingly bright. Without it, every night would become much darker. In many places far from city lights, the difference would be dramatic. For thousands of years, humans have used moonlight to travel, hunt, farm, and navigate. Tonight, that light would never return. But that's only the beginning. Within hours, something else would quietly start changing: the oceans. The moon's gravity is responsible for most of Earth's tides. Every single day, it pulls billions of tons of ocean water around our planet. Without the moon, those powerful tides would become much weaker. The sun would still create smaller tides, but they would be only a fraction of what we experience today. That might sound like good news, but it's actually a serious problem. Many marine animals depend on tides to survive. Crabs, shellfish, sea turtles, even countless tiny organisms time their lives around the rise and fall of the ocean. If the tides suddenly changed, entire coastal ecosystems would be thrown into chaos. And that's when scientists believe the real chain reaction would begin. Fishing industries around the world could be affected. Coastal habitats would slowly change. Food chains that have existed for millions of years would be disrupted. But believe it or not, the oceans are not the biggest danger. The most terrifying consequence is something happening so slowly that almost nobody would notice it at first, until it becomes impossible to stop. At first, life would continue almost normally. People would still go to work. Schools would remain open. Cars would fill the highways. It would almost seem like nothing had changed. But deep in space, Earth would slowly begin losing something incredibly important. Its balance. The moon acts like a giant stabilizer for our planet. For billions of years, its gravity has helped keep Earth's axis relatively steady. That axis is the invisible tilt responsible for our seasons. Without the moon, scientists think Earth's tilt could become much more unstable over very long periods of time. Instead of changing only slightly, it might begin to shift much more dramatically. Imagine winters becoming far colder than anything in recorded history. Or summers growing so intense that entire regions become difficult to live in. Some places could face years of unusual weather patterns. Others might experience completely different climates than they do today. It wouldn't happen overnight, but once the process begins, nature doesn't simply press a reset button. The changes could continue for thousands, or even millions, of years. And that's not the only invisible effect. The moon is also slowly slowing Earth's rotation. Every century, our days become just a tiny fraction longer because of the moon's gravitational pull. If the moon suddenly vanished, that braking effect would disappear. The change wouldn't be noticeable tomorrow, or next year, but over extremely long periods, Earth's rotation would evolve differently than it otherwise would have. Now imagine standing on a beach. The waves are quieter than they used to be. The coastline looks different. Animals that once arrived every season are nowhere to be found. Entire ecosystems are changing, not because of pollution. Not because of war. But because one object disappeared from the sky. And then there's the psychological impact. For thousands of years, the moon has inspired calendars, stories, navigation, art, religion, and exploration. Every civilization has looked up at the same moon. Now, the night sky feels strangely empty. Almost unnatural. People would ask the same question every single night: could something else disappear next? And if the moon could vanish without warning, what else don't we understand about the universe? That's when humanity's greatest mystery would truly begin. Now imagine, it's been years since the moon disappeared. Children are growing up without ever seeing a full moon. The stories, poems, and photographs that once inspired generations now feel like relics from another world. For the first time in human history, the night sky feels incomplete. Scientists around the world would race to answer one impossible question: where did the moon go? Did it somehow leave Earth's orbit? Could an unknown force have pulled it away? Or would such a disappearance break everything we know about physics? Based on our current understanding of science, the moon cannot simply vanish overnight. If it were to disappear instantly, it would violate the laws of physics as we understand them. That's exactly why this thought experiment is so fascinating. It lets us explore just how important the moon really is. And the deeper scientists study our moon, the more incredible it becomes. The moon doesn't produce its own light, yet it has guided explorers across oceans. It doesn't have an atmosphere like Earth, yet it has shaped life here for billions of years. It never speaks, yet every night, it silently influences our oceans, our calendars, and even the rhythm of nature. Without it, Earth would still exist. But it would slowly become a very different world. Our nights would be darker. Ocean tides would weaken. Many coastal ecosystems would change. And over extremely long timescales, Earth's axial tilt could become much less stable, affecting climate patterns in ways that are difficult to predict with certainty. One silent object, changing an entire planet. Maybe the most surprising truth isn't that the moon is beautiful, it's that we rarely notice how much it quietly does for us every single day. Sometimes, the most important things in the universe are the ones we never think about, until they're gone. So tonight, before you go to sleep, take one look at the moon. Because if it ever disappeared, Earth would never be quite the same again. If you enjoyed this journey into one of science's most fascinating what-if scenarios, subscribe to Theory Hills for more mind-bending mysteries, space documentaries, and questions that make you see the universe in a completely different way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next mystery.